May 28, Spirit Courthouse, Courtroom number 3.
Order! Order in the court.
What's the matter, punks? You never seen a pup testify before? Of course not. But I'm telling you what I saw anyway.
In both life and death, I don't think I've ever seen someone so young try to defend their point of view regarding a murder. So you claim to have new evidence and testimony that will overturn the verdict?
Heck yeah, I do. Now that you've given us all the time we need, this mob is ready to turn your point of view right around. Ready, you guys? Let's do it!
You may proceed with the testimony.
A turn of events not even the Primal Spirits saw coming. But even with this new testimony coming, it doesn't change the truth that Jake is innocent. So no matter what, there will always be a contradiction somewhere. Just need to search for it.
This boy is very determined, isn't he? Let's just see what his next moves are here.
I assume both of you are ready.
Of course I am. Thanks for boosting my confidence earlier.
I'm ready for this, and I know you are too. We can't do everything for you, so be prepared for the worst. Good luck. Mob testimony. New evidence.
I'll tell you all about this new evidence. Just take a look at that crime illustration.
Yes, those claw marks on that tree behind it too. The defendant must have done that.
Maybe as a warning? An accident? I honestly have no idea.
Murder may not have been able to use a soul weapon. That doesn't mean it couldn't kill Weaselton in some other way.
Perhaps the soul weapon was just part of the reason the victim met his demise.
We've already established the soul weapon wasn't how the victim was killed. This doesn't prove anything relevant about the crime.
Silence! That may have been considered fact before, Mr. Nicholas Wilde. However, haven't you ever considered the possibility that the investigation team did something wrong? Perhaps the murder weapon is not what we thought it was. Based on this testimony, it appears that the murder weapon was none other than Jack Hunter's own two paws.
He somehow always manages to change his viewpoint and keep it believable. I have to find something that proves him wrong. You seem to know what we know. This testimony is right, yet very wrong.
And by finding the contradiction, you are one step closer to finding the killer.
The killer, huh? Honestly, I still have no idea who the real killer might be, but I have a feeling I'll find out very soon. Cross-examination. New evidence.
I'll tell you all about this new evidence. Just take a look at that crime illustration.
Hold it! Since you were the one who was so eager to reveal this to us, would you mind just pointing it out for us?
I was gonna be gracious and give the others a chance to point it out, but if you really want me to take the spotlight... See? Right there on the tree. Those are distinct claw marks. They look kinda bloody too. That's an omen of danger if I ever saw one.
You seem a little too excited about this one detail, little pup. How about I calm you down? Your Honor, let's separate this from the illustration. It will be its own piece of evidence.
If you insist, the court accepts this into evidence.
Oh yeah!
Damaged tree added to court record.
I'll stop talking when I have the chance. The rest of you can go into more detail about it.
Yes, those claw marks on that tree behind it too. The defendant must have done that.
Hold it! How do you know Mr. Hunter made those marks? It could have easily been the victim.
No, that can't be possible. You could easily compare the size difference. Weasels are significantly smaller than wolves. The victim could not possibly have made those marks for any purpose. Besides, why go through all the trouble to make those marks?
I'm sure whoever did that, they had a good reason, because that must have really hurt.
Maybe as a warning? An accident? I honestly have no idea.
Hold it! You may not know for sure, but if you had to take a guess, what would you say those marks are for?
Objection! You amaze me with your stupidity, Mr. Nicholas Wilde. The witness gave you a straight answer before you even asked. If he doesn't know, he doesn't know. Stop wasting our time. If you keep this up, I might just fall asleep again, and trust me, I wouldn't want to miss this entertainment.
If we weren't in court right now, I'd be saying all sorts of things to you.
Murder may not have been able to use a soul weapon. That doesn't mean it couldn't kill Weaselton in some other way.
Hold it! It would take a lot longer to kill with just his bare paws, so I doubt that's what you're implying.
Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But what do you know? Every time you make a point, the prosecutor is just gonna overturn it in some way. Will you keep fighting, even when it's obvious you're gonna lose?
I fight for my client because I believe in his innocence.
Faith and trust will only get you so far, Mr. Wilde. In the end, it's gonna be your downfall.
Meaning...
We're getting off topic now, aren't we? Next!
Perhaps the soul weapon was just part of the reason the victim met his demise.
Hold it! But that can't be true. We've already discovered the soul weapon can't possibly be what was used.
Of course I know it's not the murder weapon, but Hunter still has the ability to spawn his soul weapon. Perhaps he attempted to use it to fight, but couldn't. However, in the end, he didn't need it, as he used his bare paws to finish off the victim.
Once again, a witness has trapped me with his logic. Why must these certain witnesses be so smart? I can't take it.
This cross-examination has gone on long enough. It appears the defense has not discovered anything new.
See? I told you I'd turn this court around.
You act like this was your lifelong dream. Congratulations, you can cross that off your bucket list. Now then, it appears the battle is over. Mr. Wilde, I must say you and your team fought honorably. But in the end, it never would have mattered. Facing the great Professor Ratigan in a courtroom was the first and probably the biggest mistake you could have ever made. Just face the facts. The defendant is guilty and nothing you can do will possibly change that. So what if the victim attacked first? So what if a random tree was scratched? So what if the soul weapon wasn't used? As long as everything lines up, we can say beyond a shadow of doubt. Jake Hunter is the one who killed Hans Weaselton, and he will burn in hell for his crime.
Nick, do something quick!
But I don't have anything to come back with. Am I really going to fail now? Chico's counting on both of us. If we don't do something now, he'll literally go to hell. But there's nothing to save him with.
It seems we've finally come to a close. Now it's time for a verdict to be passed. This court finds the defendant, Jake Hunter...
Hold it! Just one moment, please, Your Honor.
You keep delaying this court, wasting our time. You don't even reveal your identity to us, so why should we listen to your pitiful request?
One moment, please. Your Honor, I'm certain after all this back and forth talk, we've likely lost the majority of the courtroom regarding this crime. The defense asks for one final round of testimony. All we need is a simple recap to get everyone up to speed. I assume the witnesses could handle that just fine.
Fine. If you're so concerned about our audience, I won't argue with you. Nothing will change after this.
Very well. Witnesses, please give us a recap of the crime.
Sure thing, old man.
Very well.
If you want.
It's finally over.
I will do that, Your Honor.
I don't know what you're up to or how this will help, but it's gotta do something if they're asking for something as simple as this. Let's give this testimony a good listen. Mob testimony. The recap.
So here's what happened. Jake Hunter was walking down a path reading that book on the spirit realm.
After he was finished out of frustration, the victim came along and tried to seize him.
They got in a struggle and caused some injuries, but it didn't last long before Weaselton died right in front of Hunter.
It was a truly terrifying sight. I was so shocked I was left speechless.
It was then that Hunter ran off, leaving those claw marks on the tree as he escaped.
Is this the recap you were looking for? Are you satisfied, whoever you are?
It's perfect. We are satisfied with this testimony. But I still don't see where this is going. Mind filling me in, guys?
Well, this testimony seems to solidify the defendant's guilt. However, I must still allow a cross-examination before we can pass a verdict. Mr. Wilde, you may begin.
There's no need for one, Your Honor. We've already found a contradiction.
We have? But I didn't see any contradictions in that testimony. Remember what you were meant for in this realm, Nick.
Nick, you know what they're talking about, right?
What I'm meant for. What am I meant for? There's a lot of reasons Alex and I earned our soul weapons a long time ago. There's also certain reasons why we are so valued to the Primal Spirits, and why we can so easily make our way in the spirit realm. I've believed in my client's innocence this whole time, and Oinari and the others have believed in my ability to prove him innocent. And if there's a contradiction staring me in the face, then I need to stand up and tackle that contradiction head on. So how do I find that needle in the haystack? Think, Nick, think! Maybe I can figure out this case if I go back to the beginning and review the facts. It was first assumed that Jake's soul weapon was used for the murder, but Jake was lacking something that prevented that from being the case. What was Jake lacking that prevented him from using his soul weapon? Select your answer. A pure soul, spirit arts, lack of faith. Spirit arts are required. Jake never had an understanding of how soul weapons worked, or the spirit realm in general for that matter. Therefore, he had no spirit arts to attack the victim with. Furthermore, since we know for a fact that Jake is innocent, that means he can't have a motive to kill Hans Weaselton. Aside from the fact that Hans attacked first, there's another fact that proves against a motive. Select your answer. Jake didn't know the victim. Jake received injuries. Jake couldn't use his paws. Injuries on both Jake and Hans. Based on the injuries that the witnesses described, it sounds like Jake could barely defend himself before Hans was killed. He didn't even know the victim either, so there's no reason for him to go so far as to kill Hans. So we've cleared Jake's name in those cases now. If we have enough evidence to show his innocence, then we should also have enough to prove who the real killer was. What evidence can give us a lead on the real killer? Select your answer. Spirit Realm Book, Autopsy Report, Damaged Tree, claw marks on the tree. The majority of the witnesses believe those marks were there before the murder happened, and I remember Nala specifically saying they came from a wolf. This could really narrow down our options. The killer has to be someone we know from this case, so someone also has to be lying. Using this logic, the real killer is most likely... Select your answer. Evan, Alex, Wolf. It almost seems impossible, but all the evidence can point towards this one witness. Ah!
Nick, you feeling okay?
Jumping Jiminy, what's with the screaming all of a sudden?
Mr. Wilde, please calm down.
Oops. Sorry, Your Honor. Guess my discovery was a little too shocking to keep in.
Now then, your team has claimed you've already found a contradiction in the recap testimony. Would you care to present evidence to support this claim?
You figured it all out now, haven't you? As much as I didn't want to believe it at first, yes, I have.
Stop your jabbering and get on with presenting your proof.
Sorry, Ratigan, but there's no evidence to support this contradiction. Rather, I'll be supporting my claim through testimony.
Testimony, you say? You will rely on simple words to prove your point?
There's a lot of different things that can be used as evidence, Ratigan, and in this case, one of the witnesses said a certain statement that revealed a blatant lie.
Well, go on and say it now, Mr. Nicholas Wilde. Which witness revealed a lie during the last testimony?
Select your answer. Evan, Nala, Rico, Wolf, Thomas. In the last testimony, Wolf stated that he was horrified from seeing the crime happen. He even stated that he couldn't even speak after seeing it. He was that shocked. However, that statement in itself is a contradiction, because there's a certain piece of evidence regarding the crime to go with this. This piece of evidence reveals the lie in Wolf's statement.
Take that!
Here's what the book on the spirit realm has to say about spirit arts. While imagination and power are required to perform these, one other simple requirement must be met. The name of the spirit art has to be said out loud. But the witness couldn't have possibly performed any if he wasn't speaking at the time.
Silence! Go no further, Mr. Wilde. What you're suggesting is absolutely preposterous.
Not with the evidence and logic I've prepared now, Mr. Ratigan. I can assert that the defendant is in no way, shape, or form a killer.
What? Huh?
Oh my!
Huh?
You... Wilde. Why pin this on me of all animals? I have nothing against Hunter or Weaselton.
Sure, you may have nothing against them, but that doesn't mean you didn't have the means to commit murder.
Try me, Nicholas Wilde. Show off to this court.
Since you asked so nicely, I'll show you the evidence I have. The first piece of evidence shows you have the necessary means to commit the crime.
Take that!
Sorry to say it, Wolf, but your species is a dead giveaway. Let's take a look at the soul weapon, the item used to kill Hans Weaselton. Remember how members of the same species will receive the same type of weapon? This is proven by Alex's and Jake's weapon. So it would make sense that you have that same broadsword that they possess. Isn't that right?
By that logic, you could easily pin this crime on the other wolf in this group.
Hey, punk, I'm just a kid. In fact, I just got here a few days ago. I hardly have any idea what a soul weapon even is.
How do I know you're not just bluffing?
Keep your cool, Wolf. Evan has no soul weapon. My abilities in this realm allow me to sense spiritual power from others. Evan's level of power, next to none.
Okay, so what? I can't just choose which species I am. It's just a coincidence I have the same kind of weapon as the defendant.
That may be so, but it still makes you a potential suspect. I know what you want next. More evidence, right? Well, I got it right here. This next piece of evidence proves you were indeed involved in the crime.
Take that!
Remember that both the defendant and the victim got in a struggle, both of them receiving injuries before the actual murder. Of course, the injuries were gone before the trial, but what if someone else got caught up in that crossfire?
Stop right there! I witnessed that crime from afar. There's no way I could have gotten caught up in that fight.
You may not have seen that way to the other witnesses at first, but it is a possibility. You got injured during the struggle, and I have proof.
What could you possibly have that proves I was in the middle of that struggle?
Take that! Allow me to explain this one. Spirit arts are widely varied because they depend on the user's personality. Thanks to my highly developed senses, I was able to pick up on each of your personalities, one by one. Wolf, you seem to have a habit of sneaking your way out of the truth, and covering up with clever lies. But if the time comes, you will strike without hesitation, causing the downfall of your opponent. This makes Crescent Slash a perfect fit for your main spirit art. But I see another one in our book that fits you well. It's called Divisu, a spirit art that allows the user invisibility. Admit it, you approached the victim and defendant when you couldn't be seen, but in the process you got yourself hurt. If we were to have taken a look at you right after the murder, there's a very good chance you'd have some bruises on your face right now.
I can't believe this. One of my own kind turning against me. Wolves work best in packs, right? How about you cut your useless banter and support my case?
To do that, I have to turn on my best friends. Besides, I would have never been doing this if I didn't completely believe in Jake's innocence.
You're defending a criminal! Open your eyes! You're falling into that fox's deception. Just like all these other witnesses have.
Hey, I respect those who know what they're doing, old-timer. Shut your muzzle.
You can't deny the logic he proposes, even if it seems bad for you.
You told the defense to open their eyes, and you've been blind this entire trial.
Yes, you've been blind, Wolf. Blind because of your own lies.
Shut up! You think I care? I saw him! I saw Jake Hunter! He killed Hans Weaselton. Why don't you see what I'm saying?
You better stop before you dig your grave even deeper. We've clearly established now that you were in the midst of the crime when it was happening. However, there's still one more piece of evidence that needs clearing up, and unfortunately it can also be linked to you. The final piece of evidence that proves you were at the crime is... Take that! Evan, you are way more helpful than you know. Notice the damaged tree in Thomas's crime illustration. We've been told that those marks were definitely made by a wolf. Of course, it must have hurt when that happened, but there's something that can be linked to the cause of this. Wolf told us he injured his paw, but how did that happen? How about when he was getting ready to commit the crime? When he got close to the struggle, he likely got shoved aside when he wasn't ready. This caused him to stumble and scratch his paw against the tree, which resulted in the injury he showed to us. It was pretty deep too. Like you said, you might have fainted or even died.
But I need 2 paws to handle my broadsword. How can I do anything with it if I just injured myself?
It doesn't seem possible, but there's a thing called adrenaline. With the last of your strength, you spawned your weapon and called upon a crescent slash to finish the victim while he was weak. Since no one could see you, the witnesses assumed it was Jake who called for that spirit art. Your plot from the start was to frame someone, wasn't it? It all lines up now.
Your lies will take you no further. This is the end of the road. Wolf! You are the real murderer! There's just one thing I don't understand. Your motive. Why did you want to do this in the first place?
Why do you think? I never wanted to be here. I'm sure no one does. And just like the defendant, I never believed in a place like this ever existing. As a result, I absolutely hated being here. And there's also the reason I'm here. The reason I died. I died in the prime in my life. I had practically everything I ever wanted. And then something terrible happened. A thing known as the MZ7 incident. Several innocent citizens died that day. And I was one of them. I had done nothing wrong. What's worse, I saw my killer in my dying moments. And he was one of my own kind. A wolf, just like me. Once I woke up here, I remembered what had happened that day. And I was filled with rage. I wanted revenge on the one who ended my life. By any means possible. I didn't care who had to suffer in order to satisfy me. And when I saw Hunter, I knew he would be my next target. And then Weaselton came along and interfered. But I saw it as a new opportunity. Don't just kill the wolf directly. Let him suffer by framing him and putting him through trial. Then maybe I'd finally be satisfied with my revenge on others. But then you came along, Wilde, and decided to defend him. I thought I had covered up my tracks too well. But I've only proven myself to be an idiot. I gave up on faith and trust long ago. And it's caused me to end up like this. A serial killer. Jake Hunter, forgive me.
The poor soul, killing merely out of anger. The flames of rage were never extinguished.
Mercy should be expected toward him at this point, however many would think otherwise.
You fool! You think you can get away with a crime in the Speller Realm? You have only made yourself look like a dunce in front of the courtroom. What's more, you tried to deceive us all. Eternal torture is the only suitable punishment. Cast him into hell.
Please, don't. I'm begging you. Cast some mercy on me. Please.
Wait, don't do it. This can be settled another way.
You know the rules, Mr. Wilde. The murder of another spirit means a one-way ticket to hell.
It seems it's time to pass a proper verdict now that we have found the real killer. Now then, this court finds the defendant, Jake Hunter, not guilty. Court is now adjourned.
May 28. Spirit Courthouse. Defendant Lobby Number 3. Even though we managed to find the truth and get a not guilty verdict, this victory actually makes me feel kinda depressed.
Come on, Nick, why the long face? You should feel good, right? You found the guy who tried to frame me and he got what he deserved.
It appears you're only rubbing salt in his wound, Jake. You don't seem to know how he feels.
We've believed that everyone can be a good person if they try hard enough, and it seems Nick and Alex believe the same thing. They wanted to find some way to redeem the culprit, yet the majority of the courtroom thought otherwise.
Wolf kept bringing up the fact that he was being betrayed by his own kind. More ways than one. Deep down, I kind of feel bad for him for that reason, as well as others. He was blinded by hatred, wanting revenge on his killer. I could probably relate with him. I was pretty upset when I ended up here too.
If there's one thing Nick and I have learned here, it's that revenge is never the answer. It only escalates things. It makes them worse.
Hey Nick, this trial isn't going to be something you dwell on for a while, is it? I mean, Wolf is gone now. There's really nothing else to change it.
I can agree with that, Nick. It is time to let it go and move on. Perhaps we will be able to do something to alter his fate.
Now wait a second, you can't just do that. You act like you guys are our creators or something.
Well, in a way we are. Would you like to see us for what we really are? Greetings, Jake Hunter. I am Fenrir, the Primal Spirit of the Wolf.
And I am Oinari, the Primal Spirit of the Fox.
We are the first of our species to have lived.
And the ones who grant other spirits their soul weapons, so that they may live up to their destinies even after death.
What? Hell no! This cannot be real!
That was a bigger reaction than I was expecting.
Oh my god, we gotta talk. Teach me your ways!
There's no need to bow, Jake.
Sorry.
Anyway, we are willing to teach you what you need to know to live and thrive here. But we likely can't teach you everything, not until you are sure you can understand the workings of this realm.
I guess that means it will take a long time.
You will learn in due time.
Hey Nick. Earth to Nick. Hello?
Ouch! Seriously? Again?
Yeah, and I'll keep doing that if you don't stop moping. Listen, Nick, I know you're not gonna stay here much longer, because unlike me, you still have a life. You got a well-working brain, and you can see the truth nearly right from the start. But not only that, you have something else that's just as strong. Your faith. You and Alex kept going because you had faith in my innocence. You weren't even brave enough to proclaim in that courtroom. In all my life, I don't think I've ever seen such a kind and honest lawyer. But seriously, don't ever stop what you're doing. You're gonna help a lot of people. I can see it now. Nick Wilde, Ace Attorney. You're really gonna make a name for yourself.
I don't really know about that. But thanks anyway.
I'm not finished yet. Alex.
Huh?
Hey, in all honesty, I didn't expect you to show up here alongside Nick. In fact, when I was still alive, I thought you had gone insane or something. But in the end, you were the one who was right. And it seems like in this realm, you have a lot more power than me. It makes me gain a lot of respect for you, and it also gives me a lot of regrets. I wasn't really the best guy to you, or anyone for that matter. Even when we were technically still friends in high school, I didn't show you enough respect. Things just got worse and worse for us until I decided to humiliate you in front of everyone. I wanted to keep an image when doing that to prove to people that I was tough, but when I did that, my heart felt like it was gonna tear apart. It was being pulled so much as I ended up our friendship right there. I tried to show no signs of regret, but I only made the situation worse. And I never talked to anyone about it. I just tucked it away. Even if I hadn't been killed by that car, I probably would have committed suicide a few days later anyway. It was hurting too much, but I didn't have the heart to ever apologize. Well, now as good a time as any. Alex, I'm so sorry for everything I did to you. You had enough pain to go through already, and I just made it worse. Will you ever forgive me?
Jake,
Alex, come here. I'm so sorry for everything.
I forgive you.
Broken bonds have been mended once again. What a heartwarming moment.
Thank you, Alex. If we ever meet here again, I'll be sure to make it all up to you in some way.
Can I quote you on that?
Yeah, definitely. And regardless of whether you stay a geek or work with Nick as a lawyer, remember to always keep charming people with your optimism. I know it's worked for me.
I'll keep that in mind, Jake.
Good to finally get all of this off my chest. Now then.
Say no more, Jake Hunter. If you're ready, come with me.
See you guys soon.
Farewell, brother. Children, it's about time for you to make your return. With the trial over, there is nothing left for you here at the moment. Go home and make a difference in your own world. We will meet again when the time comes.
I'm sure ready to be out of here now. Let's go, Nick.
See you all soon. Somewhere in Tundra Town. Phew! Finally back in the real world.
My phone's going off like crazy right now. What time is it anyway?
Let me check. Holy crap! May 30? That trial lasted 2 days! Carrots and Boomer must be worried sick right now. I sure hope we didn't miss anything important. Case 3. Turnabout Spirits. The end.